Declaration of Independence. Independent voters, free agents. You changed the game in the midterms. With me right now is one of those free agents, co-host of the podcast America This Week, Substack journalist, thinker extraordinaire, Matt Taibbi. Good to see you.
See you, Chris. How's it going?
Thank you for being with us. What do you make of my suggestion that we're having a moment, that the pendulum is swinging back, and that the parties, sure, they run the game, but the game is changing, and independents pushed for reasonable leadership and looked at the people and rejected deniers? You think I'm right, or am I too optimistic?
Yeah, I wouldn't agree with that assessment personally. I think we have a tendency to overreact in the moment to election results. For instance, the pronouncement that Donald Trump is out of the game. I don't know how many times reporters have made. I made that mistake once. I'm never going to make that mistake again. The
Good
guy
for you.
is never. He's never out of the game. He's never dead. It's like a Friday the 13th movie. He's never actually dead. And it's unclear. I think we always need a significant amount of time after elections to really sort out what they mean. And this one is, it's not even over yet. So it's hard to say.
Nope. I'm with you. I'm relying on the data that you definitely had about 1 in 3 voters saying that they weren't party driven, and that they made a decision in some of these different elections, one that we're still watching in Georgia, in a way that they don't usually do. So I see the data, but I'm absolutely betting on a change because I want to see it. But at the same time, I agree with you, certainly about Trump. Do you believe he announces tomorrow that he's running? I'm saying on the record, no. I think it's too soon for him to do it. I don't know why he's having this event, but I don't think he's going to announce. What's your take?
Again, with this guy, I've lost a lot of money on bets on Trump in the last 6 years. Look, it would be out of character for him not to announce that he's announcing, or at least to drop another hint that he's announcing tomorrow. It would be very out of character for him to end the drama tomorrow. So I don't expect. One thing I 100% don't expect tomorrow is something like I'm not going to run in 2024. Of course, that's exactly what will happen, but that's what I don't expect.
Right, especially if he takes as much time as they say he's going to have, unless he has something else that he wants to announce. But look, I totally think you're right that to say he's done. And yet, you do have people coming at him in a way that we have never seen since his descent down those stairs in 2015. But the idea of why people would want change, do you believe that you're hearing from more people that what's happening in the parties and in our politics and in the media coverage of the same just doesn't seem to compute for them anymore?
Well, I think the same reasons that people voted for Trump in 2016 still exist. They may even be more true now than they were before. People were deeply dissatisfied with the state of the country. They're very unhappy about the economy. They're very unhappy about political processes, about their lack of choices. I think the way that elections are conducted now, and how long they take and how much uncertainty there is, that drives a lot of voter anger. But they don't have a lot of choices in terms of whom they can vote for that seem logical to them. So I don't see that that the level of voter displeasure is going down. I think it's going up. There might be more cynicism, but I'm not sure that that's a good thing.
I think that it sets the table, though, to create more choice. And that's what I'm all about for them, the push for ranked choice voting, for getting the parties out of the primaries. It'd be great if we had more parties, but I know that that's a real ambition at this point. But the energy seems to be there for different and better. That did leave some people desperate enough to vote for Trump last time. What it will mean this time, I don't know, but I do believe we're having a moment. Matt Taibbi, people should be checking out your new podcast and your Substack. You take on deep questions, you think about them, and you do a great job of presenting them so people can make their own choices. You're always welcome anywhere I am, and I thank you for being with us tonight. Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com, newsnationnow.com, and you can find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button down below. Then you will get more of News Nation's fact-driven coverage.